A lot of the players that are still within the Obama circle, the Democratic circle, particularly in financial circles in Washington, are the people who oversaw some of this.
I mean, Larry Summers is the chief. If you think this was a villainous act, and in fact a case was brought against Summers' protégés in a Boston court, sidebar story, but Summers presided over this, enabled it when he was Secretary of Treasury, backed by Robert Rubin, who of course is still the great cardinal behind the scenes in Washington. The problem is here that as the Russian people fell into poverty, most of them, probably 75%, and they saw America abetting, taking part in the looting of the country, something emerged that had never existed before, and that was anti-Americanism at the popular level. I lived in Russia in the 70s. I first visited it in the 60s. I never encountered any real anti-Americanism. There was some ideological anti-Americanism, but when you left the public, the person would turn to you and say, "Well, I just love everything about America." I mean, it was all fictitious. Now it's real.
If Obama has brought into his circle these very people with the ideas that they had then unrenounced, what are the chances for real change in relations between these two countries?
In the book, the last two chapters of the book treat this what I call this lost opportunity in the Cold War. And I finished the book just after President Obama took office. And that's one question I raise. I don't know if his foreign policy team, which is essentially from the Clinton administration, beginning with Mrs. Clinton, of course, but almost all of them, are able to rethink their policies, because those policies have to be abandoned in the 90s toward Russia. Even if they can, are they willing to publicly admit it? And do they understand what the alternative is? I mean, there are worse policies. At the moment, I don't see the evidence. But let me just point out to you how serious I think the situation is. It's not usually put this way, but the Georgian-Russian War of August 2008, last year, just not so long ago, was in its own way a proxy war between Washington and Moscow, because we created the Georgian army and unleashed Saakashvili, the Georgian leader, because he began the war. That's how dangerous it is. Even during the Cold War, the United States and Russia never fought on Russia's soil with proxies, and now we have these two armed nuclear powers that close. Do Obama and his team, people, understand how serious it is? Do they understand that we have to back off? And back off means this, ending the expansion of NATO. Does Obama have the political strength, because there's a powerful pro-NATO lobby in Washington, to take that step?